Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to give you my top 10 tips to improve your chances of success in the IELTS speaking test. Tip number 1. For the first part of the IELTS speaking test, use it as a chance to warm up and get used to the examiner's accent. Remember, part 1 is easier than the other parts, so use it as a chance for you to practice to get used to the way in which the examiner speaks. Tip number 2. If you do start off badly, don't panic. Remember, it's perfectly normal to feel nervous when you walk into the exam room. If you do start off badly, but you'll still have a chance to improve your score for part 2 and 3, so it's not the end of the world. Tip number 3. Remember to write notes for part 2. You'll have 1 minute to plan what you're going to say and 2 minutes to speak. Use your first minute to plan, to write notes, and to structure what you're going to say. This will make your speaking more structured and you'll sound more fluent. Tip number 4. For the second part of the speaking test, don't stop speaking. Remember, fluency is one of the assessment criteria for the IELTS speaking test. If you keep talking, your fluency score will be higher. Make sure you don't worry about the time. The examiner will tell you when to stop speaking. Tip number 5. For the third part of the speaking test, make sure you ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask if you don't understand a word. So say something like, "I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean by that word. Could you say it in a different way, please?" Tip number 6. Make sure you provide reasons and give clear examples to support your answer. So if you're asked a question like, "Do you think it's better to eat at home or to eat out?" Say something like, "Well, personally, I prefer to eat at home because I can choose what ingredients I put into the food and therefore it's healthier." Tip number 7. If you do make a mistake, just correct yourself immediately. For example, if you say, "Last year I go to Spain," quickly correct yourself and say, "I'm sorry, I meant to say last year I went to Spain." This shows that you have an awareness of the correct form, the correct tense, and the examiner will not reduce your marks. Tip number 8. Try to speak from personal experience whenever you can. That way you'll sound more confident. So if you're asked a question like, "Do you think it's better to live in the countryside or in the city?" Say something like, "Well, actually, I was born in the countryside, but I've also lived in the city, and personally, I do prefer to live in the countryside because it's more peaceful." Tip number 9. If you don't know anything or don't know much about the topic, don't worry, just be honest and try to do your best to answer the question. For example, if the question is, "Do you think it's better to work for a company or to work for yourself?" Say something like, "Well, to be honest, I'm still a student and I don't have any work experience, but I think it would be better to work for a company because I can meet more people." My 10th and final tip is to practice as much as you can. Try to download free topics from the internet and practice them in your own time. If you follow me on YouTube, you'll know that I frequently upload task cards with sample answers so that you can listen to them, and I try to update this as much as I can. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any other tips that I haven't mentioned, please type them in the comment section below, and don't forget to click like and subscribe if you'd like more free content.